Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Bo Wulf here at the NovaCare Complex. Fran Duffy from his Doing Guys Den. Zach Berman is here as well. He will join us in a little bit. Practice on the practice field still taking place. They're wrapping up, and then we'll have some press conferences from players around 2:25, 2:30. Zach will give us everything we need on that front. We heard from Vic Fangio earlier today, and as always, he's sprinkling all kinds of newsy nuggets that tell us which way the wind might be blowing on defense, some other things to get to. I have all kinds of depth chart notes, Fran. I have been vindicated on one front. I think that this has proven that there really is somebody who's better at reading the tea leaves of the first OTA practice than others. We'll get to that. A few little highlighty things, but really much more about the depth chart stuff. I'm excited to get into it all, Fran. And we're first to market. That's what's most important. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was listening to yesterday's podcast this morning as I was walking Olive, as I was walking the dog, and I appreciate the happy birthday shout out. No, it was we got a day full of Eagles news. I'm excited to get your depth chart notes. I'm going to go ahead and guess that you are vindicated on the Kenyon Green saga of late May 2025 as you and Zach went back and forth on if he was left guard or right guard.
You may or may not be correct. How was the birthday?
Birthday was great. Got out on the golf course for the first time this year. So yeah, that was good.
Well, it's a good thing. If it sounds interesting to you, the possibility of, what is Fran Duffy like as a golfer? Would you maybe like to golf with him? You can still acquire that opportunity because the PHLY Liberty Open is coming up in just a week and a half, and it is still on the table for you to purchase to be in the foursome with Fran Duffy. So that's very exciting. How'd you play?
Oh, it's my first time out. So it was, I think we talked about it last week. Like, first time, it's like, I had a few nice shots, but overall wasn't great. Shot the exact same on the back that I did on the front. So I didn't have a lot of the improvement was not linear there. So yeah, but definitely better things to talk about than my golf game at this stage.
Did you get the text from Zach? Let's make this the best year yet.
I did. And I laughed. It was fantastic. It was great.
Is that your first?
That was my first. Let's make this the best year yet.
Welcome
text.
To the club. This is very exciting.
Just outstanding. So, to make him feel better, I wanted to make sure I hit the laugh reaction to it, just because I know he would like that. We know how much he loves that technology. So, no, it was that was very nice, and I appreciate your Tony Pauline text as well. First thing.
And are you like reflecting on your own mortality kind of birthday guy, just celebrating yourself? What are your reflections on a birthday day?
I'm very pro birthday. Like I know that some people are weirded out by age and stuff like that. Like, yeah, is it a little weird that I'm almost 40 and that we're getting up there? But look, there's a lot of life left to live. So
you only get so many trips around the sun. You might as well celebrate them. Exactly
right. No, I'm very pro birthday.
Okay, let's get down to business.
Please.
What would you like to know? Do you want to start on defense or offense?
I would like to go. Let's go defensive secondary first.
Okay. So we will get into all of the specifics of the Vic Fangio press conference, but one thing that is worth noting at the top is, he was asked about Cooper DeJean and, where he might play in base. And he said he's going to be on the field in base, and we're going to find what's best for him and what's best for the team, and what's best for the team is going to win out. And it's either going to be cornerback or safety. And safety is interesting for him to throw in there. Zach noted last week, eagle-eyed, that he did a little bit of like individual work with the group of safeties. I don't know exactly if they were splitting up the DBs by position there, but that was interesting. Through two practices that we have seen, he hasn't taken a single rep in any kind of 7-on-7s or team drills at safety. Today, though, they did take a good handful of snaps in base, and for all of those snaps, Cooper DeJean was at right corner. Quinyon Mitchell still not relegated, but still at left corner. And by the way, this was a bad job by us as a B crew. We did not ask Vic about the Quinyon Mitchell at left corner thing. That was a thing we dropped the ball on. So apologies to the millions and millions of Eagles fans. But Cooper DeJean at right corner. And what is interesting on the front of what's best for the team and what's best for Cooper, there were about 2 snaps in team drills where with the first team defense, Cooper DeJean was back at right corner, staying at right corner, and Perry Nickerson was on the field at nickel. Now,
Okay.
Perry Nickerson is a guy who has played under Vic Fangio. I think Vic sort of just can trust in these kind of settings that he's going to be in the right place. I don't think that Perry Nickerson is in any kind of conversation to likely make the team, let alone be the starting nickel. But just in terms of like seeing how this might look, that was a possibility. As for when Cooper DeJean was back inside, once again, looking back to who read the tea leaves last week, Kelee Ringo at right corner the entire time. Not only that, Adoree Jackson working exclusively with the second team at left corner. So Adoree Jackson more about exploring his versatility on both sides, not necessarily at the moment pitted as a head-to-head matchup with Kelee Ringo.
Interesting. All right. So a couple things there. Number one, obviously astute practice observer that you are, you pointed out that possibility, not just last week, but also yesterday on the show, which great show yesterday with Jamie and with Zach. But then also,
did you play the penis game?
No,
really?
No, we did not. There was not a staple at Cheltenham High School. I will say that I was listening, and as you guys were like talking through like what your doodles were like during class, mine, I was constantly trying to come up with, because this was right around the time when Madden allowed you to create your own plays in the playbook. So I was in there drawing up pass concepts for the Madden playbook. So I love that all of us were just mini versions of ourselves, 25 years ago. Yes. But anyway, just even going back to Vic and just like, hearing him talk about last year's defense and how it required a lot of unknowns to step into expanded roles and to really kind of fulfill their upside. And one of the first names he mentioned for this year was Kelee, and hoping like, we're going to need some of these guys to make that same jump. And the first person you think of certainly is Kelee Ringo.
And he said something else about Kelee Ringo, Vic Fangio did. He referenced a line that Nick Sirianni had shared with the staff recently that, what is it? I wrote it down. Repetition is the burden of leadership. In other words, it is on the coaches to get the guys who need reps, the reps that they need. And this is interesting thinking about it from Nick Sirianni's standpoint, because this is someone who in the past has kind of bristled at the idea of you need to let the young guys play early. What are you smiling at?
I'm smiling because it also goes hand in hand with the thing that Vic said separately in a different answer, where he said, some people might not think you need to practice, but you need to practice.
Yeah. Not even veiled, just a direct shot at the coach. But I think it is a good reminder. And it is why I think, like, even if Adoree Jackson is in competition for this job, he is the fail-safe for this job. There is no reason to give those reps right now to anybody else but Kelee Ringo. He is the one who they want to win that job. He should be getting all the reps that he needs. And Vic said, what he needs to do is prove he can get through an NFL game as a competent corner, essentially. And so they need to get him all the reps that they can. So that was the first team on the outside. Okay. At safety, a lot of rotation. Reed Blankenship was in. He returned. He missed last week's practice for whatever reason. Was back today, and first up next to him was Sidney Brown. But there was rotation throughout the settings. Now in 7-on-7, there were all kinds of rotations. You saw Blankenship leave the field a couple times. Drew Mukuba came on. Now, Vic was asked about this competition, and he made sure to say that it's not just Sidney Brown and Drew Mukuba. It's also Tristin McCollum. But I am here to tell you, Fran, that I believe Andre Sam has a better chance than Tristin McCollum. Now, Tristin McCollum got a couple reps today, but Andre Sam is the player who gets more reps rotating in with the ones than Tristin McCollum. Lewis Steen, by the way, nowhere to be seen with the ones. He rotates in with the twos, whereas Andre Sam gets a little bit more reps with the ones. And then in full team drills with the ones, it was Sidney Brown first, and then Drew Mukuba got some reps as Reed Blankenship stayed on the field.
First question, is it Andre Sam or Sam Andre?
Well, did you ever, how about, you didn't play the penis game. Did you drink Andre as a kid? Not as a kid, as a freshman.
No.
Really?
Yeah, no. That was not.
I feel like that was a go-to for cheap alcohol.
No,
bottle of Andre.
We were just recently talking about like the cheap alcohol options. That was not in the holster. Okay. But yeah, no, I think the interesting part, as you mentioned, was just the constant rotation. Sydney, he was first man up, across the board, like everything that you saw. It wasn't like 7-on-7 and team was an individual.
First man up, but then it's within 7-on-7s. The ones go off, the twos go on, then the ones come back, and then it might not have been Sydney Brown. It might have been. I can take you through exactly what the rotation was as I flip through my notes, but he was first up.
He was first,
but not always the first one in.
Got it. All right. All right. So if that's the secondary, same deal at linebacker. Trotter got all the first team reps.
And I think this is interesting. Seeing how much they are rotating at corner, how much they are rotating at safety, especially that they are not spending any time rotating at linebacker next to Zach Baun.
Yep.
It is just Jeremiah Trotter Jr. at the moment. What is also interesting in connection to all of this is something that Vic Fangio said about Jihaad Campbell. He was asked, where is Jihaad Campbell going to play? And he said he's at ILB right now because that's where he has to learn the most, which makes all the sense in the world. And he also said that there are some time, he does some individual drills on the side with me. Yep. And we got to see that today on a far side of the field. It's Jihaad Campbell just, lined up as an inside linebacker, going through whatever the motions are that they want him to go through. And this is during like individual warmups, and it's Vic is over there on the far side of the field with Jihaad Campbell. So
I'm assuming there's video of this on.
I think Zach took some video.
All right, hold on. I'm going. I purposely avoided all of this coverage so that I could give you my fresh feelings on it for the pod. But I will go now and find this video now as you're talking.
So that is interesting, and he was asked about the possibility of him playing on the edge, and that's something he said. Vic said that's something that Campbell has to prove. They're not going to put him there just yet. But I do think it is very much a pet project for Vic to get him up to speed. And thinking about that, Vic also dropped a nugget that Jihaad Campbell is probably not going to be practicing fully until some point in August, which is that is Cooper DeJean territory from last year of not getting all the training camp reps, and it makes you wonder if Campbell would be trusted to be on the field week 1, or if he would be an early season backup to Jeremiah Trotter until he's ready to ascend to that position like Cooper DeJean did last year.
Yeah, my guess is, it would probably be more the Cooper DeJean path, which that puts a lot on Trotter very early on in this season. I thought that there was a lot of interesting nuggets there with the way that Vic talked about what his vision was. And honestly, it was really interesting. I'm pretty sure it was Dave Zangaro who asked. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was in terms of like the how he viewed the pass rush upside. He was like, I think there's pass rush upside. And he's like, what would he need to do in order to reach that upside? He's like, get on the field and practice. So it's just like, basically to me, I read that as, we might see him as a rusher sooner than later, even though he is still working with the ILBs. Like, that's kind of how I read that, was like, once we get him on the practice field and we start working through this role, we might be able to find that spot for him.
Okay. Now we have a little window here, post-practice, pre-press conference, where I do think we get to hear from Eagles insider extraordinaire, Zach Berman. Let's bring him in now because we got to make the most of it. Wow. And he's looking fine. We got
hoodie.
The man loves a backdrop. That is a beautiful spring backdrop if ever I have seen one. Zach, how you doing? We can't hear you.
Is this better?
Yes.
Is this better? Appreciate being on here. I took Bo's words to heart in terms of that room out, the second room upstairs, not conducive for a backdrop. This far more conducive. So came in on my phone, which I'm totally cool with for, a 5-10 minute hit. I'm excited to talk practice with you. Just got off the practice field. So they went for about 70 minutes today. And we will have one more chance to see them after this. I do need to say that Bo Wulf was absolutely correct. Kenyon Green playing on the left side, not the right side. So I think it's important to clarify and make that abundantly clear from the top.
Well, thank you very much, Zach. We hadn't gotten there yet, but I did tease it. First of all, was there anything that happened at practice after the kickoff return session that is worth passing on, because that's when I would not have seen it.
Dallas Goedert made a nice catch downfield. It was like a seam pattern by from Jalen, of course. Goddard's not practicing the twos. That was probably the best play that I saw. Ball didn't really touch the ground too much. They didn't go downfield too much. There was one incompletion down the right sideline. Looked like a miscommunication of some variety. But overall, no, that's what stood out more than anything else in terms of like plays that you saw, was that Dallas Goedert play down the seam.
Zach, I think if there's a way that you want to spin this, it's actually really makes you look correct, in that in you being wrong about Kenyon Green and me being right, it's only vindicating you for calling me the most astute practice observer. So essentially you were right the whole time.
Couldn't be wrong.
I mean, Bo is such an astute practice observer to the point, and such a good teammate. Listen to this. He taps me on the shoulder, right? And like, I don't want to say sons me, but he's like, you might want to look in the back corner over there at Jihaad Campbell at Vic Fangio working one-on-one with Jihaad Campbell.
You're filming stuff. I just
want to pass that on to you. Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, I'm much more. This is like it's two different approaches to practice. Like, I'm like, wait, so that's the Washington and Jefferson coaching staff there, the Toledo coaching staff there, the Haddonfield coaching staff there, right? I'm looking for all these like ancillary things. Oh, there's Joe Douglas. Like, only Joe Douglas loves offensive line play. Like, I'm watching that. Bo is eagle-eyed to every corner of that room. It's like when Andy Reid was on the practice field and he would notice if someone was leaning against something. That's what Bo's like at practice.
Okay, enough of that. I want to hear from you about what your thoughts were on Vic Fangio, because you're going to talk to the players.
Yeah.
We'll have you on after you're done talking to the players to find out what they said. I will go through some of the other depth chart notes while you are gone. But from a Vic Fangio standpoint, we have already covered Jihaad Campbell, the situation at safety, and the Cooper DeJean discussion about safety versus outside corner. What else jumped out to you from a Vic Fangio standpoint?
Yeah, you'd mentioned the Cooper DeJean part of it, which I thought was one of the more interesting nuggets, was Cooper DeJean at safety, because that seems like a very real thing. I don't think Vic would have said that otherwise, and I do think that there's going to be a time here. They don't play base that often, right? Vic said 160 snaps, but when they're trying to figure out who are the four best, it might be Cooper DeJean at safety as opposed to at corner. And of course, if you're in base, you're probably on with more run fits in those cases, and you probably want Cooper fitting the run at safety, probably more so than playing on the perimeter. So I found that interesting. Jordan Davis, he said Jordan Davis was in the best shape of Jordan Davis's career. He didn't really, when asked why, it was the first time I've ever heard him say, "I'm going to duck that question."
Well, he didn't. So, it wasn't. Just to clarify, he wasn't asked why he's in the best shape now.
Yeah.
Vic said that he got into really good shape late in the season, and he has continued that. And so the question was, why did it take, what was it that made him in the best shape late in the season? And that was the question that he ducked.
Yes, exactly. Good point. And then regarding Jalen Carter's snap counts, he was pretty, I don't want to say defiant, but like matter of fact, he in the 68th and 69 snaps in the NFC divisional round game, he looked pretty good, right? So they're not worried about the accumulation of snaps for Jalen Carter. Called him a young buck in that regard.
He was also asked about on the Jalen Carter front, the perception that like he doesn't really know how to play the position just yet. And he said, while that might be a little too strong, he agrees with the general standpoint that like he has a lot of room to get even better.
Sure. Regarding the defensive depth, he was kind of clear that you can't tell that this time of year. Like at this time last year, they didn't know what Zach Baun was. They hadn't seen Nakobe Dean play. Isaiah Rodgers, Oren Burks was new. A theme whenever Vic Fangio talks is like he needs to see them at practice. He needs to see them in preseason games, and so I think he'll have a much better idea about the depth of his roster then. But I didn't think overall, I know you mentioned safety. I didn't think it was like the strongest Sidney Brown endorsement today. He basically was like, Sidney Brown didn't play last year, so it's not as if he's the incumbent, right? And then he did insert Tristin McCollum, which kind of adds up to the Tristin McCollum love that he has. And then just one quick thing before I head off here, and then I'll catch you guys afterwards because we have a good group of players we're talking to, including Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We'll hear from them. But he pushed back on the report or like the discussion that he called the defensive players in on the final day to to discuss the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. He said he actually called a meeting. He said that's fake news. He called a meeting to compliment them. Although I don't know Vic Fangio so well. I mean, these guys know him better than me, of course. But I can see how Vic Fangio complimenting you and then maybe mentioning like an aside about giving up points in the fourth quarter could be interpreted as that. But Vic did say it was fake news.
All right, Zach, we'll let you get to those press conferences. Thank you so much for the update. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, let's take that opportunity to go into a little break, hear from our sponsors, come back with plenty of updates on the depth chart machinations, and also an award for Jeff Stoutland we can tell you about. So Zach just texted me, and he let me know that what actually happened last week is while he was watching practice, some guy nudged him, and he goes,
"Hey, Zach. Kenyon Green's playing right guard. Didn't you say you can write it in your notes?"
And Zach said, "All right, Ray, if that's what it is, I'll write it down. I'll report it." Now, of course, that is not the Shady Ray that we are talking about. Our friends at Shady Ray are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their polarized premium shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. You can see it on my face, rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. With so many colors available, you will find a pair that's perfect for you. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. That's how I got these bad boys. There's no downside when you buy from Shady Rays. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And the hook for you, the PHLY sickos, is that PHLY viewers and listeners can go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. So use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
When Bo throws on those Shady Rays, he just looks like a guy that's ready to have a good time. And if he really did want to have a good time, he could just get in his car right now, get on 95, head north, only a few minutes away. You can get up to Parks Casino. It's close to anywhere. It's close to everywhere. All right, up in Ben Salem. And look, one of the things we love about Parks Casino, not just that you can get all your casino games, not just the Excite Center with the long list of acts and entertainers that come through the Philadelphia area every single year up at Parks Casino, but the other thing we love about Parks Casino is the Bet Parks app. All the games that we love to play in person at Parks Casino, like the pop culture slots, roulette, cards, dice games, and more, can also be played right there on the Bet Parks app, right in the palm of your hand. Parks Online Casino has the games that you love, whether you're at home or if you're on the go. Download the Bet Parks app and create an account today to receive an offer that you just cannot pass up. New users are eligible now to receive up to $1,000 back if you are down in the first 24 hours after signing up. Bet Parks Online Casino is available to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Michigan residents. Terms and conditions apply. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Must be 21 and over. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And by the way, if you want to see who's lining up at right corner in November or whenever it is, you can see who's doing it in Green Bay, and you can push in front of Mark Murphy. You can join us on the Philly PHLY road trip to Green Bay with Philly Sports Trips. All you got to do is go to allphly.com/PSTFansweeps. Terms and conditions apply, and you can win a ticket for 2, you and somebody else, all expenses paid. The flight to Green Bay, which is a very difficult place to get to, the hotel, the tailgate, the game, all that good stuff. Check out Philly Sports Trips for the ultimate fan experience, including hassle-free travel packages to watch your favorite Philly teams on the road with everything from game tickets to tailgates, whether it's football, baseball, or beyond. Travel like a champion with the crew that bleeds Philly. Learn more at phillysportstrips.com. And again, the sweepstakes, allphlY.com/PST fan sweeps November 8th to 11th. There you go. All right. Back to depth chart stuff.
Yes.
Stick on defense and then go through the
wrap it
depth.
up. Yep.
Okay. Let me take a look here. First of all, attendance-wise, the only notable repeat player who was not there, Devontae Smith, who I think is sort of trusted to just he has his own setup for training down in Florida. He's been doing that. Reed Blankenship was back. Ben Van Sumeren was back after not being here last week, practicing in a green jersey. So he's all offense, 43, not even wasting any time with the linebackers. And also Landon Dickerson, who was not here last week, not only at practice, full participant in team drills and everything. And so he had an off-season surgery. He is good to go. So that is very good news for the Eagles.
Not unfamiliar territory for Landon Dickerson to be playing off of surgery. So he's as tough as they come.
That's true. And then the players who were not here today, who were here last week, there's just a handful. EJ Jenkins, not worried about that. I hope he's getting married or something like that. I don't know if EJ is married, but hope it's
big assumption by you.
Bad reason. Also, Elijah Cooks, the wide receiver, and Johnny Wilson, the big wide receiver. And that's who I have not being there today. Shout out to Dave Zangaro for confirming some of that. Okay, rest of the defense. When they're in base, defensive tackles is kind of what matters. It's Ajuma sort of on the outside, playing in like a modified defensive end role, and then it's Davis and Booker.
Yep.
But notable that that Gabe Hall got a few reps here, and he also got a name drop from Vic Fangio.
Yes, he did.
Which I thought was notable. So that is I think Gabe Hall and Andre Sam of the practice squad holdovers from last year are the two players to watch heading into camp, I would say.
So Gabe Hall, knowing that after the Ty Robinson pick, because they are very similar, kind of like body types, skill set wise, like role. So after the Ty Robinson pick, Gabe Hall, because you feel like, all right, Robinson's going to make the 53, as long as he's healthy. Who would Gabe Hall make the team over? Who would be the guy that would lose a spot if Hall were to make it? I mean, are we talking Booker?
Probably.
Is there anybody else I'm missing there? On the bottom of the chart?
I mean, they're going to carry Carter, Davis, Ajuma, Robinson for sure. That's four. Last year, they carried 6 defensive tackles, I believe.
Right.
But that included Byron Young, who was just inactive the whole season. Yep. So you could say Booker and Hall, and then you carry 6.
Yeah.
And you just Byron Young doesn't make it.
Yep.
Or anybody else. So it's interesting. Different type of player. Byron Young, much more of a beefy potential run defender, whereas Gabe Hall is your depth, your backfield penetrator.
Agree.
Is that fair?
Yep, I think that's fair. I think that Byron Young came in late last summer, so I think they're hoping that he can kind of show him a little bit of something here in his first full offseason.
Okay, so on the outside at corner, so after what is DeJean and Quignon, and then Quignon and Ringo, if DeJean is inside.
Yep.
You had Adoree Jackson working in, and then you also had times when it was Eli Ricks and Mac McWilliams. So Adoree Jackson didn't get a ton of work, but like in 7-on-7s, for instance, it was Jackson on the left side, Ringo on the right side when they were in base. But when they went to team drills, like Adoree Jackson just sort of wasn't taking that many reps, and it was Mac McWilliams and Mac McWilliams on the right, Eli Ricks on the left.
Got it. And so McWilliams, again, still getting mostly outside work behind Nickerson, who are we talking for a slot?
Would you like to take a guess as the third team slot?
Without having the depth chart in front of me.
Brandon Johnson, the undrafted rookie from Oregon.
There we go. Okay. Interesting.
So there you go.
All right.
And then at safety, again, bunch of rotation. Hard to make heads or tails of that, other than the fact that Lewis Steen, like right now, safety 6 essentially, which is fine. He's working in with like Max and Hook essentially. And then at linebacker, where they're not rotating, the 2s, Smile Mondon and Dallas Gant.
Okay.
If you're really truly sick.
Edge guys.
What's that?
Edge guys.
So Jalyx Hunt last week, remember, took some reps on the left side. He was mostly on the right side, if not all on the right side today. With the 1s, it was actually him and then Patrick Johnson on the left side. And then you had Ojulari and Josh Uche rotating in sometimes with the 1s.
Okay.
It was Ojulari left, Uche right.
Got it.
So there you go.
All right, that sounds right.
Okay.
Should we go O-line?
I guess while we're sticking on defense, let me run through any other notes I had from.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
As I like these, the fresh off the field. I mean, real live aspect.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you getting this?
Yeah. So what did Vic Fangio say about Bryce Huff? This is one where he did kind of pull some punches. And I think it's actually, I think this is different than actively saying he's ducking the question with Jordan Davis, and more just like there's no reason for him to talk bad about a guy once he's actually out of the building.
Correct.
Yeah. Like if he's here, I'm going to be honest and say that he needs to get better if he wants to play for me. Now that he's gone, there's no sense kicking dirt on the guy. But he said, yeah, what happened is, we felt like he was getting better, and then he hurt his hand. And he said he goes into some weird side thing about how, like where they're doing the draft stuff and they're measuring guys' arm lengths and their hand sizes. Well, he didn't even have any of that because he's playing with a cast on his hand. Like, okay, let's come on. But the truth is that if Vic believed in the player, his hand would be recovered by the time the season starts. He would still be here. So
yeah. I read it the same way too, where there's no reason for Vic to go all in. Obviously, we know. I think everybody knows that just this marriage was not going to work, and it was best for all sides to move on.
Here's something I want to ask you, Fran. So he was asked about the edge group, and he says we feel good about Nolan. I think we'll feel good about Jalyx, essentially. Yep. And then you've got Uche and Aziz and 3 other guys there, is what he said. So 3 other guys. Powell Ryland, Patrick Johnson, and O'Shawn Mathis.
Right.
So maybe that's like he would like somebody else there. But we know that there's this tension between Vic doesn't want to rotate quite as much, Howie wants to rotate a lot. And in asking about this after last season, I think part of the learning from Howie was not necessarily like I was wrong about this, but that when you have young players, those guys can handle the workload a little bit more, right? And so if your defensive edge group is Chris Long and Brandon Graham and Vinny Curry, and those guys were younger then, but guys like that, late career guys, yeah, you want to keep them fresh. They might be, it's like the good once as I ever was. They can't give it to you for 60 snaps, but if your starting edges are a second-year guy and a third-year guy, can you afford to lean on them heavier than even they did last year?
I think physically you can. I guess the big thing will be like, I think everybody's expecting a jump up for Jalyx, right? Like, and he alluded to it, right? But how much of a jump are we going to get? Like, where, what at what point do we say like, oh yeah, like he is a more than serviceable, like functional full-time player, which that's kind of how I viewed him last year down the stretch. Like, yeah, we saw him pop and he had a couple flash plays in the Super Bowl, certainly. And there were some really impressive individual reps in the postseason down the stretch. But I would say overall, like looked like a guy who was swimming a little bit. Like it was functional, but ideally probably not getting a lot of those reps for like a good defense. I think the idea for him was that it would be almost a redshirt year where he was going to kind of develop in the background. And so, how much of a jump can we expect for Hunt in year 2? If he were to like hit his ceiling, then yeah, great. Put him out there for 700 snaps. Like your all systems go. But if he's still kind of coming along a little bit, I think you probably don't want him getting the lion's share of the reps there.
Yeah, I think that's right. But do you feel like because they're so young, depth matters a little bit less?
Yeah, but I guess it goes back to like, is that ideal, right? Like, I think, like I think having them be young definitely helps from that standpoint. You don't want Azeez Ojulari getting all those reps, but I think that if Jalyx from an ability standpoint shows that he can be that guy, then that's great. And I think that they can lean on him. It's just it is worrisome though. I'm more in your camp when it comes to like overworking those guys, just because it can be a house of cards, man. Because what happens if Jalyx gets hurt?
Right, exactly. What if you turn the knob up on how much you're playing them, and then because of that, one of them gets hurt, and now all of a sudden guys who hadn't been playing have to play.
Not to mention too, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like it's a violent sport, guys are going to get hurt, injuries are going to happen. But if he's out there playing for 700 snaps, it's not even like, oh yeah, his body broke down, but you're just like rolling the dice every single time. We're like, oh, like somebody could just step on his foot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it goes the wrong way on the 60th snap of a game. But again, that can happen to anybody. But you are upping the chances of that happening if a guy's out there every snap of a game.
So the thing that he said about safety is it's a competition that's going to take training camp and a couple preseason games to play out. So this is essentially like, we're not giving the job to anybody, and it's one where we got to. And I do think that that's fair at safety in particular, where you really do need to see some live reps and see how they react to like unscouted looks and stuff like that. Are they in the right place? But I mean, I would still, turkey-wise, I'm putting like 75, 80 turkeys on it being Mukuba week one. Like that's, Vic picked him out. That's why they drafted him.
Yep. Do
you think it would be a significant disappointment if he's not the week one starter, given the resource they used?
Disappointment might be strong. Surprise. I would probably lean more towards surprise. And I said, wow, just because I'm like, to think that it would be that high, but as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it probably is that high, just for all the factors you laid out. I think it's fair to assume that he is the odds-on favorite to be the starting safety even as early as week one, especially if he can come through and have a strong summer. And even if it's a solid summer to give you hope that, hey, like maybe September 3rd, he's not the better player, but by October 18th, he's the better player. And if he's able to play those first few weeks and play that out, I think that there's something to that.
Repetition is the burden of leadership.
That's right.
There you go. I want to ask you about this one as well, Fran. He was asked about like where Zach Baun will play of the two inside linebacker positions, and he referred back to the line he said about Cooper DeJean, where it's what's best for him and what's best for the team, but really what's best for the team is what matters more, and so it will depend on who he's playing next to. Do you view a significant difference in where Zach Baun will play based on whether he's playing next to Jeremiah Trotter or Jihaad Campbell?
Yeah, I think that Trotter would be the mic if Trotter were in, and that if and when Campbell enters the starting lineup, that Campbell steps into Baun's role and Baun becomes the mic.
And I do want to say here that we listen very closely to the way that Vic talks about guys. He's still very high on Nakobe Dean. And he said like this, it's a competition to find out who's going to play until Nakobe is back, because Nakobe has a role here, and he really likes Nakobe Dean. And, Nakobe was playing really well last season, but he also said, like, he didn't even give a timetable on that one because that could be a very long time. That's a serious injury that Dean is working back from. Do you think there's a way to get all three of those guys on the field if we assume Jihaad Campbell ascends to a starting role?
Yeah, if they start using Campbell off the edge. And so I think that's the one thing that I guess we probably didn't talk about as much like draft weekend and the immediate aftermath of the Campbell selection is that, like we know that right now, Nakobe Dean coming off the injury, it's going to be a while until he's back on the field for the Eagles. And he's had 3 pretty serious, injury riddled seasons so far in the NFL. He's going into a contract year. So, I would say his future status is very much in flux, but they have high hopes and high thoughts on Nakobe Dean internally in that building. And so I'm sure like he probably wasn't thrilled with the selection of Jihaad Campbell, right? I'm sure that he was probably a little bit, upset by that selection. And so I do think that publicly, it does benefit them to make sure that they give him a lot of love and show him that they still support him and have a lot of faith in him moving forward, because they will want to try and rely on him coming back. Well, who knows what his contract looks like if they do try and bring him back on a second deal, but I think that they would probably lean on him to still be a starter if he were to return.
And then the very last thing here is he was asked about CJ Gardner-Johnson and how did he feel about that trade. And
yeah,
this is a two-parter, because he said, well, that was a salary cap situation. That was a money thing. But then he said, I was okay with the trade. So,
right.
I feel like that sort of tells you all you need to know.
Yes. We've talked through the dynamic there. I mean, even going back to the fall, to me, he was the weak link in that secondary. And so I think when you're looking at it, it makes a lot of sense. I think his answer adds up.
Okay. Let's take a break. On the other side, we will get really into the weeds on the offensive line depth chart, because there are a couple moving parts. This is the stuff that only the sickos will appreciate, coming up after this. The floors in here carpeted. If I wanted to rip them out at the behest of the Eagles and put in some new stuff, there's only one place I would go to. The only place that I know of that is just dedicated, nonstop, all they think about day and night is flooring. And that, of course, is our friends at Empire Today. Because if you go to one of those big box stores, what you're going to get is somebody who's not really a flooring expert. It's going to be somebody who was working in the appliance section yesterday. They might be doing plumbing tomorrow. No. None of that at Empire Today. At Empire Today, they are flooring experts. And they are also aware of the fact that there's guesswork when you're coming into the store and thinking that it's going to look some way, as opposed to actually coming to your house, looking around, and figuring out what's going to look the best in your space with your furniture. That's what flooring experts do. That's what they do at Empire Today, where they live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. We are talking a totally different ballgame. They will get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered, so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive $350 off when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right. $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for details.
We'll now hear from our friends over at Cherry Hill Kia, right across the bridge over in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. If you're looking for amazing deals and those super low lease payments, Kia of CherryHill.com is the place to be. They are celebrating Memorial Day savings all month long on their massive selection of over 450 new Kias to choose from. They've got over 40 Tellurides, over 100 Sportages, over 35 Carnivals, over 75 Celtos, and over 80 Souls. And I've got to tell you, Kia, the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. 7 of those models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards this past year. That is amazing, considering they were more than 450 models tested, and only 20 models industry-wide received this award. So keep in mind, 7 of those models, only 20 across the entire industry received the award. 7 of them went to Kia. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. Stop in today over at Cherry Hill Kia. Tell them the PHLY sent you, and you will receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your Kia today. Just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at kiaofcherryhill.com.
And finally, once again, reminding you about the PHLY Liberty Open coming up on June 14th at Valley Brook Country Club from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., presented by the good folks at Xfinity. The 4-person scramble includes a limited edition PHLY golf tee gift prizes and a post-round dinner and draft beer, along with a great raffle, including Philly memorabilia. You get to potentially play with Fran Duffy or Jamie Lynch or a handsome Rich Hoffman. Make that happen by visiting allphly.com/events to learn more and purchase an individual or foursome reservation for the tournament. Diehard members are eligible to save $50 on a foursome. Terms and conditions apply. And Xfinity combines the power of internet and mobile in an all-in-one plan. You can get lightning-fast speeds at home and a secure network on the go. Restrictions apply. Xfinity internet is required. Actual speeds vary.
Where do you like to play in a scramble?
Where do I like to play?
Where do you like to hit in the order?
Depends on the
Depends on who you're playing with. Obviously.
Depends on who I'm playing with.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if I'm the longest hitter,
Yeah.
you want somebody who's going to hit the fairway to go first or second, and then you can swing away third or fourth, like a cleanup hitter. If I'm not the longest hitter, then try to go early and try to hit the fairway.
Yeah, I am definitely better later in the order. Just let me go and just let me swing away. Just because on a normal day I'm a little scattershot. So
okay, yeah, I see. I feel like it sort of depends on. Yeah, I feel like the quality of play is usually like for instance, when you're putting in a scramble, like the worst putter goes first, right? Give everybody else the read. Let's go from there. When off the tee, you want like your most consistent guy going first, and then everybody else can swing after that. Yeah,
it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I. Last little note from an attendance standpoint: Avery Williams was there today in green jersey, but working off to the side. So he's dealing with some kind of injury. He was on a bike, so we don't. This could all be part of the plan, the continued masking of where he's going to play. But so far, all we know is offense.
Working off to the side, not with Jake Elliott and the specialist.
No. But yeah, by himself at first, and then on the bike.
Good to know.
Are you ready for the offensive line?
Born ready.
Okay. So remember, last week Landon Dickerson wasn't here.
Right.
And with Landon Dickerson not here, it was Matt Pryor taking those reps.
Yes.
At left guard. Today, Jordan Mailata left tackle, Landon Dickerson left guard. Lane Johnson was back today.
Okay.
Lane Johnson at right tackle. Now, remember, Lane was also not here last week. And Tyler Steen at right guard.
Yep.
Now, Fran, the importance of those sort of slow motion drills they do about combo blocks. All the times they practice those combo blocks. Those are really important to Stout in terms of making sure that they are those guys are working together correctly. And in all of those situations, there was no rotation. Now that is usually Stout's thing. There's like a daily lineup. There's not a lot of rotation going on with Stout. It's more of a day-to-day thing. But Tyler Steen right now, all of those reps with Lane Johnson, and I think that those reps matter a little bit. I think Tyler Steen is very much like in the pole position right now at right guard.
Okay.
So Cam Jurgens still working back from his injury. He's working off to the side. So Brett Toth is your first team center, as you might expect. I mean, Stout loves the guy. Gotta appreciate that. Second team offensive line. Drew Kendall at center. That's an easy one to predict. Left tackle, Kendall Lamm. Well, I think I actually spent some time on the right side last week, but I could be wrong about that. So he was the second team left tackle. Darian Kinnard was the second team right tackle.
Yep.
Trevor Keegan, who last week was on the right side,
right.
We were kind of encouraged that he was getting some reps on the right side after spending his entire rookie year on the left side. He was back as the second team left guard today because Matt Pryor was the second team right guard.
Okay.
So Kenyon Green,
not with the second team,
fifth in the guard pecking order today. Matt Pryor ahead of him as the second team right guard right now. And then with the threes, you have Miles Hinton at left tackle. And so this is very much, I think, Stout, like this is what you will see all summer, is that with the threes, Miles Hinton is the left side, Cameron Williams is the right side. Those are the positions that those guys are playing.
Yep.
And then Kenyon Green, as he was last week,
left
guard, but today with the threes, whereas he was with the twos last week. And then finally Holland Pierce at right guard with the threes. The newcomer, the guy who they signed yesterday, Marcus Tate, must be sort of working his way back from an injury. He was off to the side as well.
Okay. Might have been off to the side.
Interesting.
Maybe not in football shape, right? Like,
maybe not in football
just
shape,
just
right.
signing off the street, not going to throw him right in.
There was so in full team drills, the only time we saw the offensive line on the field with the twos, it came out in that same order, but then a couple snaps in, Kenyon Green replaced Trevor Keegan as the second team left guard. So I don't know if Keegan got banged up or it was just a straight replacement. But right now, Kenyon Green just at left guard and behind Matt Pryor, at least in the pecking order for sure, and sort of jockeying with Trevor Keegan, and so far only working on the left side.
Okay, a couple things. As far as I think when you're looking at Pryor and Toth, some of the guys that have been here, done that, worked with Stout in the past, one of the reasons why that's very important to note, you mentioned those drills, the combo blocking drills, the surfacing drills that those guys do every single day. That is to really refine timing and technique and footwork when it comes to run blocking and working the zone run game. The last thing you want is a guy who's not accustomed to that timing, to that footwork, working with the starters, working with Lane Johnson, working with Jordan Mailata, and all of a sudden, and we saw this with Jason Kelsey, how many times when a new guy would come in, maybe like a Chance Warmack gets rotated in, and he takes a bad step, and he steps on a starter's foot or steps on, and it's like, oh man, and like you're this close to injury, and then trash cans get thrown across the bubble, right? So to me, when I see why is Matt Pryor in ahead of this guy? Why is Brett Toth in ahead of Drew Kendall? This is Drew Kendall's first week in the NFL, his second week in the NFL. Kenyon Green, this is his second week on the field with this offense and with this coaching staff. I think you want to try and make sure that you kind of ease those guys in before they start getting meaningful reps. And then when you get into the summer, I think that we might start to see a little bit more rotation there. Now, that said, that's obviously the way I'm looking at it. Like, if I want to think positively, if I want to think negatively, I could say like, all right, like Kenyon Green's not taking care of business in the meeting room or in the weight room, and that's why it's being reflected from a depth chart standpoint. So certainly, I think there are breadcrumbs to look at it either way at this point in the calendar. But I do think that it's important to note, like it very much could be the former rather than the latter.
I think that's a really good reminder. And again, remember that Mekhi Becton was at left guard last spring.
Yep.
That was a little bit different because it was more interesting that he was taking reps at guard, period, and not tackle after having played tackle his whole career with the Jets. I am not counting out Kenyon Green from this competition. I think there's more to be done here, but I do think it is less of a head-to-head situation than I might have thought 2 weeks ago. I think Steen is the leader in the clubhouse.
Yep.
Things are being set up for him, and I also think that, like, I would sprinkle a couple turkeys on Matt Pryor, for instance, whereas I might have left him off entirely before.
Yeah, and I think that as you said, there's a lot of work to be done. When it comes to these jobs, and it's important to note, like the off-field end of it is as important, if not more important, than the on-field. So it's going to be that's a battle. There's a lot to be done there when it comes to these battles.
Depth chart wise, there's not much else because the running backs are as you would expect. Saquon did a little bit of work with team drills today, which he did not do last week. Tight end, as you would expect, and the same for the quarterbacks. I will say, again, as you would expect, with the twos, Tanner McKee is kind of dialing things up and dicing up that second team defense, even though there's no Devontae Smith. The connection of the spring, and which may continue to the summer, Tanner McKee to Danny Gray.
Oh,
so Danny Gray had a drop today, but there were 3 targets that were, one was actually thrown behind him and was a nice catch. But Danny Gray was Tanner McKee's favorite target today.
The question is will Danny Gray do better than Tyrion Davis-Price, who was the former San Francisco 49ers third-round pick cast off? The Eagles have another one in Cameron Latu as well, right? Latu still he's still around, right?
He's still there.
Yeah, so it's we'll see if Gray is able to capitalize on that here this summer, because TDP he had some moments last summer.
He did. He also, Tanner McKee completed a pass to Harrison Bryant.
Okay,
we'll talk about that in August.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts completed a pass to Kylan Granson. I find any takeaways about like big plays.
Yeah.
in this setting, or even anything scheme wise, to be not that important nor interesting.
Agree. The depth chart stuff is definitely the things that are more important this time of year. Obviously, you want to be able to see, are there bottom of the depth chart guys that do pop from a performance standpoint, but to me, the depth chart comings and goings are definitely more important.
I think the last note I have, Montrell Johnson, the undrafted running back from Florida. This is something that you will appreciate, Fran. He is a sprint to the end zone when the play is over kind of guy, even when he doesn't have the ball.
What is your take on this?
I think it's a little bit look at me, try hard, but also if it's a thing that you are about it and you're really going to do that, then yeah, good for you. Like,
I agree. I
have no problem with that.
Yep. No, I'm with
as long as it's a consistent who you really are type of thing.
Correct. It's not a one-off type of thing where this guy's late for meetings or that and he does this out in the field in front of reporters. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions to lobby my way before we get to OT?
No, I think we hit on anything that I had coming in. I
Did
think
Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau?
Really? Oh yeah, there we go. Wow,
that's wild.
Jeez. Yeah,
That's
I just
crazy.
saw that. What a world. Jeez. Wow. I gotta collect myself after that. No, I think that, and I think we hit on all the big stuff there from Vic Fangio as well. The Jordan Davis stuff I thought was interesting. With Vic, but I'm interested to hear. Well, I'm sure Jordan will be asked about that. Zach said that we're hearing from Jordan Davis. It may have happened already. So I'm interested to get Jordan's reaction to Vic's ducking of the question. From earlier today.
Okay. I think I may have told my Tom Thibodeau story on the podcast before, but we'll save it. Maybe we'll save it for
overtime.
We'll save it for. I'm waiting like 10 more seconds to get till it turns to 3:00 for overtime. I think I told this. Maybe I haven't. So my dad, who has covered baseball for a very long time.
Yep.
There's a bunch of people who might have his phone number or whose phone number he might have.
Flex.
Got a voicemail once from Tony La Russa asking for tickets to the game. He was going to be in town, and he's calling his buddy. He wants tickets. He thought my dad was Tom Thibodeau. He had the wrong number, I guess. So my dad calls him back, and he's like, "Hey, Tony, you called me. Sorry, this is not who you think it is, but hope everything's going well." And La Russa's fine on the phone. Then he gets another message. You're not going to believe some jackass just called me thinking that he's Tom Thibodeau. I need tickets. So he follows up again. This guy who clearly is an old drunkard. No, that's me speaking. So there's your Tom Thibodeau. Friends with Tom Thibodeau, even if they haven't spoken in years, because
I wish I had a Tom Thibodeau story to follow that up. I have nothing there. The New York Knicks, though, multiple Eagles fans on that roster. So
that's right. Jalen Brunson's been at Eagles training camp the past couple of summers,
multiple times. It's got not even just in training camp. If I remember right, I think in the spring as well. During OTA minicamp time frame, he was walking through the parking lot, walking through the facility. So a few Eagles fans there.
Now, Fran, I'm only picking up a little bit of this. But we do owe Shea a super chat. We missed a super chat of his, I think, last week. And it seems to me that Bean Girl has been put on the back burner, and second date girl is now third date girl, and their BFGF,
Whoa.
Stir Fry is her name now. Stir Fry Girl has been promoted. Bean Girl cast to the side. No beans in this Stir Fry.
Number one, I'm sure that she would really appreciate being referred to as Stir Fry Girl. I'm sure that she really enjoy that nickname.
The question is, is Stir Fry Girl aware of Shay's pseudo celebrity status on the show? Has he let her into that world?
I can't imagine, but let's multiple times they've made Stir Fry. I feel like there's no way. I agree with INS though. I think the back burner for the Bean, I think is not yet from Shay. I think not a surprise.
I mean, I'm glad that you guys are together, but until you can show her your true self, how far have we really made it? Claire says 6 months is the right time to let her know about his status as a true sicko. Okay. Any other birthday takeaways, Fran?
No, it was a tough Phillies loss. Went to the Phillies game on Sunday. Tough loss that day, but we had a blast there. So they changed the time frame for when they open the ballpark during the week. So the times that I've taken Francis to Phillies games over the last couple of years, it would be during the week, and we wouldn't get in early enough for BP. BP would be done by the time we would get in. Which is just brutal because I'm like, I'm trying to get him into this. But finally we were able to get in for BP. He was able to get a ball on Sunday, and he loved that. So that was fun.
Oh, that's great.
He loved that.
Where'd you go?
We went left field. So we were so it was where the Brewers were warming up, and so one of those guys threw a ball in.
Threw it in. Okay.
Yeah, so threw it up to him. So no, that was good. Rough series for the Phils though overall.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Like I said, went golfing yesterday. That was good. We had family over Saturday. Meg did a great job. Meg invited a bunch of my family over. So we had family over Saturday. It was a good weekend.
Who was the best shot you hit yesterday?
It was very early. I want to say, so went with, I accepted an invite from our friend Shiel Kapadia. So went out to, so playing with Shiel and co. And my best shot might have been, actually, I'll tell you what. So there was one where it was like a hard dog leg right. And it was like, all right, you kind of have to lay up here in terms of like what you're doing off the tee box. And so I'm like, no, like I haven't been hitting well off the tee all day. I'm gonna go out with my driver. I'm not hitting for distance right now. And I just hit this ball so flush and so just like straight as an arrow, 30 yards into the woods, like just completely cleared the landing zone. And that was the flushest I hit the ball all day. But my best shot was probably my approach on like the second. I was probably like 150 out and put it 10 yards from the hole. It was a great shot, but it was all there.
Did you make the putt?
Two putted.
Okay, so par.
Yeah, par.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it was like I said, all downhill from there. It was tough sledding the rest of the way.
Okay. I tried to get Vic on the topic du jour from the show about which of the levels of the defense is most important, or is he most worried about as a replacement for last year. He said they're all important. They've all got question marks. So couldn't quite nail him down on that one.
Yeah, I heard the question. I was that his it was worth asking because I was very interested to hear the answer, but not surprising that he went that way.
Zach says they're still going. He doesn't want to hold us up from the press conference. So what I'm going to do is I'm asking him to text over his big takeaways so he can tell us those. That way we can.
The chat needs to know.
Chat needs to know. Now I'm sure that Zach's going to have his own recap that will be on the PHLY social and YouTube channels for everything you need to know. But in service of the show, for the audio listeners who are listening to this after the fact, let's get a couple little bullet points from the man. In the meantime, Fresh Prince with a super chat says, Bo, what do you think about going to the Philly special get-together and leaving as soon as the Shield guy arrives? It's a good idea. I thought that already happened, or is that is this Friday?
I think that was this past Friday.
It already happened, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so I was there, and I left before Sheila got there. That's what everybody needs to know.
Claire wants to know: have you and Sheila spoken since the incident?
No comment.
Are you ducking the question?
I am ducking the question. No comment. Yeah, he knows where he stands. That's all that matters. Okay. Waiting for Zach.
How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Sister-in-law was in town.
That's right.
And got a playoff win on Sunday. Although last night, unfortunately, we did fall, so the season was over. Much to Casey's chagrin. Very sad about the end of the baseball season, but that's all right. There's always next year. Tough thing we had this. I mean, long time listeners will know. This dishwasher we've got has just been a bane in our existence, and it's sending up this weekend. All of a sudden, it starts sending this error message. It won't run. It just says the light on the clean button is up, and so we unplug it. We plug it back in. It's beeping. None of this stuff. There's a little bit of water at the bottom. Try to vac that out. Still no work. This thing has been, and it's new. This is a replacement. This is like a year, 2 years old. So we're washing dishes all weekend, like paupers. I mean, what is this? Terrible. However, shout out Rachel. Got some people to come over yesterday. We thought this was going to be a week-long, 2-week trial ordeal. Fortunately, they fixed it in one day for now. We will see. We'll see how long it lasts, but got it back up and running last night.
I was gonna say thoughts and prayers out to you guys for having to do that.
Give me your appliance. So refrigerator doesn't count.
Yeah.
You need the fridge to be working.
Yes.
So let's say dishwasher, laundry. What could be the third for what you would most want? I guess, I don't know. The burner, the stove.
Okay.
How would you stork rank the importance of them in your life? Which would you least want to deal with having not working for 10 days, let's say?
I mean, laundry's got to be number one. Yeah, laundry one. Probably stove two.
Yeah, I mean the truth is the dishwasher, it just means you've got to do the work yourself. The other stuff you can't. Although I guess if the stove is down, if you have,
I could go either way on the stove dishwasher. Yeah, laundry one clear away number one. Laundry clear number one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm not.
Now the dryer. Would you go air dry?
We had a clothes hanger growing up, like out back. So I guess I probably could do that. I probably could set something up out back to get us through that, but that would not be ideal.
Not ideal.
Yeah, I would still put dryer ahead of stove and ahead of dishwasher. A lot of options for the cooking.
I think so.
Stove, though. We got the oven, we got the air fryer, we got the toaster.
Yeah, there's other ways to cook. Yeah, I mean, you could also.
We got the grill, we got the smoker.
Order if you need to. Yeah. Hello Fresh. Although I guess if the stove is not working. Oh, the stove is the thing that does the cooking.
The oven does most of the work there.
Okay. You got any household situations going on?
Honestly, no. It's been.
I don't know if my directions to Zach were clear. He might not be doing this. I'm not seeing any. No bubbles in the text.
No, it could be that he's probably mid presser at the moment.
Mid presser. Yeah.
No, I don't have anything else going crazy right now. We're in the thick of, like, if I skip like one weekend of doing yard work, then it just becomes an absolute jungle back there. But outside of that, inside, knock on wood, everything's going all right.
Okay.
Yeah, my guess is that he's probably mid presser.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go. Look, can we do we're past time. Want to do a blind? You want to do a blind ranking?
Sure.
All right, give me one.
You got one for me?
Yeah, I got one for you.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, 1 second. Stand by. All right. Sandwiches.
You enjoy college softball World Series?
I'll watch it, but I don't follow. I'm not like it's one of those things where like if I'm working or if it's like I'll throw this on.
I think it's an elite background sport. Like, doesn't have to be a primary, but if you're doing something and it's what's on the TV, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. I would say that adds up. How closely do you like adopt a team? Do you like
no, not really, but I'll be intrigued by certain players.
Right.
I mean, it feels very often, 3 true outcomes. It's mostly strikeouts, walks, and home runs, but
sure,
it's okay. I really do enjoy. Like, I enjoy like college baseball. Wake lost last night, and a really unfortunate look for the head coach. Should probably be fired, as far as I'm concerned. But like a guy crushing a potential professional baseball player who's going to have to transition to wood bats soon, like crushing a ball with a metal bat, doesn't do it as much for me. But the softball players, when they yoke one, I think it's great. I'm a big fan of that.
ZB came through.
Zach Berman says Jalen Carter wants to be the best player at his position. Saquon Barkley's 99 rating was an inspiration. He's not worried about how much he plays. He has fun out there. People talk too much about Jordan Davis's weight. He's always working. And Morrow doesn't have anything to prove. Did you watch his film last year? There you go.
Yes.
I know you did.
I listened to Saquon. He was on with on the Green Light Pod with Chris Long.
Okay.
So he said, and Chris, they talked about like him being on the Madden cover and things of that nature. And he said, like, outside of winning a Super Bowl, a young athlete, a young football player, the best thing you go for, like, is be on the cover of Madden. I thought that was interesting context there from Saquon.
Okay, that's cool.
You got here.
Zach also says Kelee Ringo spoke. Kelee Ringo is eager for the opportunity. He benefited from learning from Darius Slay and James Bradbury. And as far as the number change, he's been eyeing number 7 since he got here.
Wart and Pee-wee. I saw that in the chat earlier.
Oh, okay.
Word is youngster.
All right, I'm ready for my sandwiches blind ranking.
All right. Bacon, egg, and cheese.
From anybody?
Good question. Yeah, let's go with the median outcome for all of these sandwiches.
Okay, so I send you on a chore. You're bringing me back something, and I don't know where it's going to be from.
Yep.
It could be from anywhere.
Yep.
I like a bacon, egg, and cheese, but there are bad bacon, egg, and cheeses.
Agree.
And I don't know how many other sandwiches. I mean,
Fresh Prince with a good question. Let's say it's on a bagel.
Oh, really? Bagel's different. Bacon, egg, and cheese. I want on a roll. But
you want like a
Kaiser roll.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can go Kaiser. Let's go Kaiser.
I am going. I'm going 6.
It's only 5. 5.
Oh, there's only 5?
Yeah, we're only doing 5.
Oh, okay, then 4.
Okay, so 4. By the way, because we're getting it. It's got to be an English muffin. I feel like this might have even before I joined PHLY. You and I did the breakfast. Last summer, right. Last spring, we did a the best vehicle for a breakfast sandwich, and we like.
Oh, that's right. We did do this. It was a Tic Tac Bow, and yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, so that's number 4 for you. All right, next one, grilled cheese.
I mean, grilled cheese is a great median. Tough to get a bad grilled cheese.
Yep.
But I don't know what other ones you're coming with here, so I'm going to go 5.
Ooh, interesting. It's a lot of faith.
You're going to sort of give me like a poop sandwich, and I'll be stuck. But
we'll find out. We got a follow-up from Zach here. Adoree Jackson called Ringo a freak of nature. Has known Nick since Sirianni was in Indianapolis. Impressed with Q and DeJean.
Okay.
Wow, just constant updates from ZB. A Ruben.
I'm going to go 3 here. You can get a really bad Ruben.
No question. Yeah, so, it's a lot of volatility here.
Ruben is one where you only want to get a Ruben if you know it's going to be a good Ruben.
Are you a sauerkraut guy?
In very specific situations, I don't mind it on a Reuben.
Yeah, I am like all the way. I couldn't be more out on, like, it's like pickles and sauerkraut are like 1A, 1B. Like get it as far
Really,
away.
you're that anti-pickle?
Very anti-pickle.
Interesting. I used to be, as a kid, I was very anti-pickle. As an adult, the palate has refined. I am pro dill pickle. I would have. Looking back, if I could do it again, Reuben would be 5 here. But
yeah, anything like vinegar based, like I'm like, I'm not a fan of that whole flavor profile.
Kimchi, no kimchi for you.
Yeah, I'm not really a kimchi guy. I can stand a kimchi, like that's like it's getting a little closer to my palate, but yeah.
Okay.
Not for me. Tuna melt.
Oh,
Gotcha.
45. I mean, a million.
Tuna melt. You only have one and two left.
Something
I guess it's got to be number 2.
I know it has to be number 2, but you've totally
sandbagged.
You've totally slain me.
Yeah.
I would rather have the poop sandwich.
Last one is BLT.
Oh, love a good BLT. I made a delicious BLT on Sunday for Rachel and myself.
What's the
farmer's
vehicle?
market? Got some fresh tomatoes.
Nice.
Toasted Italian bread. Fantastic. I'm okay with BLT landing at number 1.
I for the first
but you
time,
can get a mealy tomato. You can get a bad BLT.
Sure. Yeah. I actually, for the first time this year, I'm skipping out on tomatoes in the garden. I'm doing cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes, but not a full-fledged tomato.
Okay. And why is that?
I just didn't feel like I was getting the ROI on it. I think just the new yard, the new garden. I don't know if the soil's just not right. I feel like the last couple of years I haven't done well in the tomato biz. So I'm out on doing the regular tomatoes. The cherry tomatoes, I'll go out, pick a couple, and throw them into anything I'm cooking. But
love that.
Yeah, but the regular tomato jumped out.
Zach checking in from the press conference saying, I wish I was in on this conversation.
Next time, Zach. Next time.
Okay. Yeah, if I could do it again, I would go BLT, bacon, egg, and cheese, grilled cheese, Reuben, tuna melt.
One of my favorite sandwiches from Chef Tim at the Eagles cafeteria. This was a Jordan Matthews special, and it changed my life on the tuna melt game, because I love a good tuna melt. Tuna melt with banana peppers, just outstanding, phenomenal.
Okay. I mean, always throw in banana peppers. I'm happy.
On pretty much anything, yes,
except for tuna melt. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thank you to Zach Berman for the updates. We will hear more from him about what he heard from the press conferences. Check out the PHLY social media channels and the YouTube page. We will be back tomorrow, 2:00. Same thing Thursday and Friday. We expect potentially some movement on Thursday, but that's none of your business yet. Thank you for making everything happen, Julia. Thank you to Fran for being on patrol. And that's all we got. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.